the last laugh of Pine Hollow. The small town of Pine Hollow had always been quiet, nestled away from the bustling cities, its streets lined with towering trees and old-fashioned lampposts. Every year, the townspeople celebrated the Harvest Festival, a time of joy, laughter, and community. But this year, something was different. Something dark lingered in the crisp autumn air. It all began with the posters. They appeared overnight, plastered on telephone poles, shop windows, and the old town hall. The posters depicted a clown with a painted face, red lips twisted into a grin that was too wide, eyes that seemed too alive, and thick, curly hair that flared out like flames. Beneath the image, the words "Giggles the Clown" were scrawled in jagged red letters, along with the date of the Harvest Festival. No one knew who put up the posters, and no one knew who Giggles the Clown was. But the children were excited. They whispered about the clown in hushed voices at school, imagining balloon animals, magic tricks, and silly jokes. The adults, however, felt a sense of unease. The clown's smile was unsettling, and the way its eyes seemed to follow you, even from the printed page, sent chills down their spines. The night of the Harvest Festival arrived. The town square was buzzing with activity. Booths filled with homemade pies, caramel apples, and warm cider. The scent of popcorn and roasted nuts filled the air. But amidst the joy, the shadow of Giggles the Clown loomed. Tommy Reynolds, a curious 8-year-old with a mop of brown hair, was the first to spot him. The clown was standing at the edge of the square, just beyond the reach of the lights. His red and white striped suit seemed to glow in the darkness, and his oversized shoes squeaked with each step as he approached the crowd. He held a cluster of brightly colored balloons in one hand, and in the other, a small brass bell that he jingled as he walked. "Tommy, come here," Giggles called, his voice high-pitched and sing-song, laced with an unnatural glee. Tommy froze, his heart pounding. The clown's face was even more terrifying in person, white makeup cracked and peeling, revealing hints of pale skin beneath. The painted grin was lopsided, and his eyes were too bright, too wild. They locked onto Tommy's, and for a moment, the boy couldn't move. Then Giggles laughed. It started as a low chuckle, deep in his throat, before rising into a maniacal cackle that echoed through the square, silencing the crowd. The laughter was infectious, yet horrifying. It was the sound of madness, of something that had gone terribly wrong. The clown's laughter seemed to grip the town, its intensity growing, reverberating off the buildings. The lights in the square flickered, and the temperature dropped. The townspeople began to back away, pulling their children close, but it was as if the air had thickened, making it hard to breathe, hard to think. "Why so serious?" Giggles mocked, his laughter finally subsiding into a twisted smile. He tilted his head, studying the crowd with a predator's gaze. "We're just getting started." No one answered. The town square, once filled with the joyful sounds of the festival, was now deathly silent. The clown began to move, slowly, his squeaky shoes echoing with each step. He handed a balloon to a little girl, who whimpered as she took it. He reached out to an elderly man, offering him a card trick, but the man recoiled in fear. Giggles continued to laugh, the sound now a low, menacing growl. "Don't be shy," he whispered, though his voice carried throughout the square. "We're just getting started." The clock tower struck 9, its chimes loud and jarring, and suddenly the streetlights went out. The town was plunged into darkness. save for the flickering glow of the festival booths. Panic set in as people began to shout, their voices overlapping in a chaotic chorus. Parents searched frantically for their children, but it was as if the night itself had swallowed them whole. And then, as quickly as it had gone out, the power returned. The lights flickered back on, revealing a scene of horror. The square was empty. The booths, once brimming with treats, were abandoned. The children were gone, and so was Giggles. In the center of the square, where the crowd had once gathered, stood a single red balloon. It bobbed gently in the breeze, its string tied to a small brass bell. The bell rang softly, the sound haunting in the stillness. Attached to the balloon was a note, written in jagged red letters. "Thank you for the fun. I'll see you all next year." No one knew where the children had gone. Search parties combed the town, the woods, and even the nearby river, but there was no trace of them. The festival grounds were deserted, as if no one had been there at all. The town of Pine Hollow fell into a deep sorrow, the joy of the harvest festival forever tainted by the memory of that night. But every year, as October approached, the posters would appear once more, announcing the return of Giggles the Clown. And each year, the town grew smaller, its population dwindling, as if the darkness that had visited Pine Hollow had claimed it, piece by piece. And in the dead of night, when the wind howled through the empty streets, you could still hear it, the distant sound of a bell, and the echo of laughter, growing fainter with each passing year, but never truly gone.